We are really excited about welcoming you to our graduation ceremonies. Due to COVID-19, things will be a little different. Instead of shaking hands with the Vice-Chancellor, you'll doff your cap. This means that when your name is called as you walk across the stage and meet the Vice-Chancellor, doff your cap. Don't take your cap off, just put your right hand to the edge of your cap and give a little nod to the Vice-Chancellor, and then continue walking across the stage. Congratulations on your achievement. If you have any questions about graduation, please visit york.ac.uk/graduation or email graduation@york.ac.uk. Thank you. We are really excited about welcoming you to our graduation ceremonies. Due to COVID-19, things will be a little different. Instead of shaking hands with the Vice-Chancellor, you'll doff your cap. This means that when your name is called as you walk across the stage and meet the Vice-Chancellor, doff your cap. Don't take your cap off, just put your right hand to the edge of your cap and give a little nod to the Vice-Chancellor, and then continue walking across the stage. Congratulations on your achievement. If you have any questions about graduation, please visit york.ac.uk/graduation or email graduation@york.ac.uk. Thank you. We are really excited about welcoming you to our graduation ceremonies. Due to COVID-19, things will be a little different. Instead of shaking hands with the Vice-Chancellor, you'll doff your cap. This means that when your name is called as you walk across the stage and meet the Vice-Chancellor, doff your cap. Don't take your cap off, just put your right hand to the edge of your cap and give a little nod to the Vice-Chancellor, and then continue walking across the stage. Congratulations on your achievement. If you have any questions about graduation, please visit york.ac.uk/graduation or email graduation@york.ac.uk. Thank you. We are really excited about welcoming you to our graduation ceremonies. Due to COVID-19, things will be a little different. Instead of shaking hands with the Vice-Chancellor, you'll doff your cap. This means that when your name is called as you walk across the stage and meet the Vice-Chancellor, doff your cap. Don't take your cap off, just put your right hand to the edge of your cap and give a little nod to the Vice-Chancellor, and then continue walking across the stage. Congratulations on your achievement. If you have any questions about graduation, please visit york.ac.uk/graduation or email graduation@york.ac.uk. Thank you.
Graduates, guests, and colleagues, my name is Sharon Oakley from the York Alumni Association. I am delighted to welcome you to our graduation celebration ceremony. I have a few announcements to make before we begin so that you can relax and enjoy the ceremony. Graduates, an easy job to start with. Please check that your seat number, matches the number on your ticket. I'll say that again. Please check that your seat number matches the number on your ticket, because you will be called to the stage in this order. If you discover that these do not match, our team of stewards can help you locate the correct seat. At the appropriate time, you will be invited by the stewards to stand and make your way to the foot of the stairs, ready to head up the stairs and across the stage. All very straightforward. There are two key things which make for a seamless ceremony. Firstly, as soon as the person ahead of you begins to cross the stage, please make sure that you make your way up the stairs. Please don't wait until they have passed across the stage before you reach the top of the stairs. Secondly, don't let excitement and pride overwhelm you so much that you forget to pick up your celebratory parchment after you have crossed the stage. If you do, don't worry, but please don't go back, because you will collide with someone coming the other way. Instead, please visit the graduation information desk in Market Square, where you collected your gown, about 30 minutes after the ceremony. Graduates, you are asked to raise or doff your cap rather than shake hands with the Chancellor when you are called on stage. And please feel free, if you are wearing a face covering, to remove it temporarily whilst on stage and pause for a moment at the spot marked X in the center of the stage for that all-important photo opportunity. At the end of the ceremony, graduates are asked to process out of the hall directed by stewards. Family and friends, the stewards will show you to the exits once the graduates have left the hall. If the fire alarm should sound at any point, please remain in your seats. Instructions will be given and you will be escorted to the nearest exit. When you graduated, you became part of the alumni of the University of York, and you joined an international community of over 140,000 York alumni in 180 countries. Your Alumni Association is a vibrant and active global network offering events, services, and opportunities designed to help you make connections with other alumni and to support your career development. We will be there for you every step of the way as you embark on this next chapter, and you will have received an email giving further details of the ways in which you can stay connected and involved. In the meantime, please follow our alumni social media channels on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and check out the Alumni Association website to keep in touch and learn more about life as a York graduate. As you get your first job or take up further study or training, please remember to keep us in touch with what you are doing. Understanding the career paths that you will take help us to provide the right support to current students and make sure we continue to offer graduates like you relevant information and opportunities. Finally, can I please ask that you mute your mobile phones? And if you are comfortably able, would you now please stand?
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to this ceremony of celebration of graduation at the University of York. Please be seated. First, an introduction from me. My name is Malcolm Grant. I'm the Chancellor of the University, and the custom is in British universities that the Chancellor is a member of the royal family or a glittering celebrity. So there's been a mistake at the University of York. But it's an absolute privilege to be here as a non-executive Chancellor, an honorary position, to observe and to participate in these immensely moving ceremonies in which those students of ours who went through 2 very difficult years as we went through that global pandemic have already graduated, by the way, online, but there is nothing that you can do online that can compare with coming here, putting on your beautiful clothes and then covering them up with a dull grey gown. By the way, I do rather better on that front. But we've just been overwhelmed by the warmth of the response from everybody to come to these ceremonies in person. So thank you, first of all, on behalf of the whole university, and we hope that this ceremony will be everything that you had hoped for in a graduation ceremony. So this morning, the graduated, I've got to get the tense right, the graduated and about to be celebrated group come from the disciplines of chemistry and biology. And allow me just to say, without exaggeration, I regard these as the 2 central disciplines. If we look at the future of mankind, it's difficult to imagine how we can do anything that's innovative and new and essential to cope with the global health crisis, the global climate crisis, unless we embrace both chemistry and biology, and more than that, in an interdisciplinary basis, and more than that, embracing the huge computational power that now are seeing coming through information technology and electronic engineering. And I just want to give one example from my own experience. I spent 7 years as the chairman of NHS England through a period, fortunately, which I shouldn't say fortunately, but before 2020. And I also was one of the founding directors of Genomics England Limited. And this fantastic technology really is born out of Crick and Watson in 1953 and the discovery and the characterization of the dual helical structure of DNA, the Human Genome Project in 2000, which cost about $2 billion. And now we can do a whole genome sequencing of an individual theoretically for about $100. So you've got this combination of advances in biology, advances in chemistry, and advances in computation that makes possible something we could only dream of 10 years ago, let alone 20 years ago. It's an extraordinary change, and the way in which we would characterize this, I would say, in the United Kingdom, what we wanted to try to do is to use the power of genome sequencing and apply it in the clinic. Other nations have done it. America, France, Germany have been able to do genome sequencing of their populations, but only the NHS had that clinical background so that you could sequence the genome and then compare it with the phenotype of the individuals, given that we had medical records of 55 million patients. And it's only by looking at the profile of the genotype against the phenotype that you start to interpret what the genotype means. And we can only do that, of course, by virtue of extraordinary high-powered computing. Where does the chemistry come into it? A very interesting example in the way in which it was developed with the big sequencing company in America called Alumni. They bought a chemistry spin-out from Cambridge University called Selecsa that changed the whole reagent mix for undertaking the sequencing, and the rest has been history. A cheap price to pay for a university spin-out, which now has created an industry of several billion revenue every year. But why do we want to do this? For me, it's a fascinating understanding of how fundamental science in chemistry and biology can be taken out and applied to the benefit of mankind. 2 or 3 particular areas we were using in the first instance. One was children who are born with a rare disease. There are about 6,000 rare diseases. About 6 million people in this country have a rare disease. Not all of them are in any terms serious in terms of the impact on the individual, but some of them are. Some children are born with a disease. from which they may not recover, from which they may not live beyond a certain age. So it's really important to understand the genotype, compare it to the phenotype, compare a child in this country at the age of 3, shall we say, with one in New Delhi, one in Texas, one in Norway, and to start globally to understand what different mutations in the genotype actually mean for the infants involved. A second important area has been cancer. Can we actually characterize these cancerous cells in such a way that allows us more accurately to define the way in which the cancer is likely to continue to grow or to develop? More accurately also to describe what drugs might work best with this cancer, because we know at the moment with much of chemotherapy, it's still a bit hit and miss. We try it, and if it doesn't work, we try something else. If we can be much more accurate, so much the better. But the third instance, which is really poignant, is COVID. It was through whole genome sequencing of those pathogens that we first understood what this virus was. Also, the whole genome sequencing of each of the variants as they came through into the United Kingdom, which put this country in the lead in terms of its ability to understand and characterize and predict the virus. So I'm just really excited with this ceremony. I really am, in terms of biology and chemistry, because it means so much for me as an completely ignorant bystander observing the sheer excitement of what's coming out of your respective disciplines. So that's why, well, there are many reasons why it's great to have you back here today, but to be able to celebrate not only what you've achieved, but what your disciplines are continuing to achieve and will continue to achieve to the benefit of mankind. I declare this congregation open for the celebration of awards, and it is a celebration of awards. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming.
As we celebrate the achievements of students, we also wish to recognise the staff who have contributed to your success. York has an outstanding record of teaching excellence. What students will remember long after graduation are the individual members of staff and postgraduate teaching assistants who teach, who have supported, challenged, and inspired them. The Vice-Chancellor's Teaching Awards recognise and reward both individuals and teams who have made an outstanding impact on the student learning experience. All holders of these awards have demonstrated excellence in their teaching or the support they provide for learning, delivered with energy, care, and commitment. For this ceremony, we have 2 Vice-Chancellor's Teaching Awards to present. The first is to Dr. Julia Sarju from the Department of Chemistry. And in his absence, we also recognise Professor Paul Walton from the Department of Chemistry for his award. Professor James Moore from the Department of Biology will now present awards.
Chancellor, I have the honour, privilege and pleasure to present the following candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Adapting to the Challenges of a Changing Environment, for research in Ecology and Evolution of Host Microbe Interactions, Megan Safana Rose Hassoun. For research in Habitat Connectivity and Agri-Environment Policy, Katie Threadgill. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Biology, for research in Microbial Eco-Evolutionary Dynamics, Sophie Clough. For research in modulation of human urothelial tissue homeostasis, Thomas Crichton. For research in frontotemporal dementia and ALS in Drosophila, Laura Fort Asnar. For research in transcriptional terminators in anaerobic bacteria, Ivan Giulev. For research in modelling Parkinson's disease in zebrafish, Gideon Hughes. For research in optimising of ceramic implant surfaces for bone, David Cuntin. For research in eco-evolutionary dynamics in bacterial communities, Jack Law. For research in microbial ecology of pesticide test soils, John Pascal Miranda. For research in haematological consequences of visceral leishmania, Gulab Fatima Rani. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in combating infectious disease computational approaches to translational science, for research in multimodal photonic biosensors, Stephen Thorpe. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in mechanistic biology, for research in synthetic fusions to membrane transporters, Liam Chapman. For research in evolution of an insect-microbe symbiosis, Rebecca Hall. For research in the role of SARC in nervous system development, Alistair Pitsey. And for research in adaptation and evolution in extreme environments, Lewis White. For the degree of Master of Science by Research in Biology, Laura Cowell. Oscar Harrod. Fatani Kulukusi. And Olivia Maud. For the degree of Master of Science in Biodiversity, Ecology and Ecosystems, Daniel Greenlay. For the degree of Master of Science in Industrial Biotechnology, Yulia Burnfield. Ella Hudson. Hulok Nguyen. Rafael Peralta. For the degree of Master of Science in Molecular Medicine, Rosa Angel. Matthew Brune. Christina Cardona Barrena. Daniel Getter. Hannah Gregg. Oscar Jackson. Joseph Lynch. Elizabeth Miller. And Lucy Richardson.
Professor Caroline Descent will now present awards for the Department of Chemistry.
Chancellor, I have the honour to present the following candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Chemistry. For Organic Electrochemistry, Sophie Beryl. For research in installing reactive carbonyls in proteins, Robin Brabham. For research in self-organisation of Janus liquid crystals, James Brayley Partridge. For research in photochemistry of biomolecules in the gas phase, Rosaria Chircolo. For research in molecular fossils for studying sea level changes, Martina Conti. For research in electrochemical carbon dioxide capture, Mark Dowsett. For research in emissions of nitrogen oxides in megacities, William Drysdale. For research in mechanisms of Mn-catalyzed CH functionalization, Anders Hammerbach. For research in catalytic hydrogels of prebiotic relevance, Kirsten Hawkins. For research in design and synthesis of 3D fragments, Stephen Jones. For research in fine and platform chemicals from microalgae, Jan Lee. For research in asymmetric synthesis of pyrrolidines, Christopher Maddox. For research in simulations of air quality in West Africa, Eleanor Morris. For research in atmospheric chemistry at the ocean surface, Adam Saint. For research in synthesis of bio-based materials for gold recovery, Constantina Sotirio. For research in air pollution in remote and urban atmospheres, Freya Squires. For research in successive ring expansion reactions, Tom Stevens. For research in sources of VOCs in Delhi, Gareth Stewart. For the degree of Master of Science by Research in Chemistry, Andres Gomez Angel. Jordan Hill. Alexandra Hindle. Daniel Pitchell. William Rakira. Dominic Amon Sperling. Abby Telfer. For the degree of Master of Science in Green Chemistry and Sustainable Industrial Technology, Robin Brazier. Kevin Booker. Rachel Drew. Lucy Hearn. Monica Isakapali. Adam McClelland. Brenda Rabel Montiel. Benedict Smith. Cicely Warren. Nicole Sarafa. For For the degree of Master of Chemistry in Chemistry, Caitlin Ackers. Eleanor Ashworth. Aaron Aspel. Thomas Barnes. Joseph Beard. Lloyd Bollins. Rachel Brown. Edwin Burnham. Duncan Burns. Aidan Carr. Sean Corkwell. James Clegg. Hannah Cook. Declan Coop-Stuttard. Amy Curtin. James Curtis. Liam Curtis. Olivia Poppy Lund Dolby. Sam Daly. Anthony Isles. Jack Firth. Nathan Gray. Thomas Guffick. Mark Holzel. Jordana Hardy. Cameron Hart. Philippa Haskey. Alexandra Heald. Lawrence Henry. Alice Rose Hewson. Tyler Hughes. Robert Eves. Alice Jackson. Mark Jefferson. Ellen Jones. Esme Lane. Nicholas Lau. Nikita Lagovin. James McCall. Avanish Mystery. Keishan Mystery. Thomas Moore. Ryan Ogunaipi. Robert O'Toole. Cameron Palmer. Callum Pearce. Alexander Quinn. Ethan Ross. Lewis Russell. Connor Rutter. John Sanderson. Jake Smith. Benjamin Tipton. Lucy Tomchek. Adam Tremasso.
Ladies and gentlemen, musical ensemble E Anonyme will now perform I Want You Back, arranged by Rachel Singer.
Those pretty faces always make you stand out in a crowd. But someone picked you from the bunch and dances on its own. Now it's much too late for me to take a second look. Oh, baby, give me one more chance. Show you that I love you. Won't you please let me back in your heart? Oh, darling, I was blind to let you know. But now, since I see you in his arms, I want you back. Yes, I do now. I want you back. Ooh, baby. I want you back. Yeah, 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 yeah. I want you back. Na, 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 na. Trying to live without your love is one long sleepless night. Let me show you, girl, that I know you're fly. Every street you walk on, I leave tear stains on the ground. Follow you, girl, I didn't even wanna run. Let me tell you now, baby, all I need is do. Won't you please let me back in your heart? Oh, darling, I was blind to let you go. To let you go, baby. Now, since I see you, it is Let me tell you now, baby, all I need is one more chance. Show you that I love you. Won't you please let me back in your heart? Oh, darling, I was blind to let you go. To let you go, baby. Now, since I see you in his arms, oh, baby, all I need is one more chance. Show you that I love you, baby. Baby, let me back in your heart. Oh, darling, I was blind to let you go. To let you go, baby. Now, since I see you, I want you back.
Professor Caroline Descent will once again present awards for the Department of Chemistry.
Chancellor, I have the honour to present the following candidates for the degree of Master of Chemistry in Chemistry. Matthew Webb. William Whittaker. Aaron White. Guy Whitehead. Ava Wilding. Ellie Wilkinson. Connor Williams. Mary Wilson. Jack Wotton. For the degree of Master of Chemistry in Chemistry with a year abroad, Navod Angelo Amaratunga. Adam Brighty. Ethan Coyne. Catherine Frayne. James Halpin. Neve Hartley. Matthew Hurd. Marianne Kipcharnoff. Nathan Mark. Gemma Skipton Carter. Matthew Tudball. Andrew Wrigley. For the degree of Master of Chemistry in Chemistry with a year in industry, Mary Aiken-Wood. Imogen Andrews. Jordan Ashton. Jamie Asamat. Alex Barnes. Laura Berger. Joe Biggs. Isabel Bruce. Eleanor Burford. Lucy Butler. Lindsay Chu. Jack Clearly. Samuel Cliff. Joseph Cockcroft. Eleanor Cummings. Paula Dewey. Stanley England. Jack Fitzpatrick. Joe Gillens. Chelsea Grace. Amelia Graham. Jodie Green. Sophie Green. Daniel Guggen. Jodie Hahn. Richard Harrow. Charlie Heel. Luke Hepworth. Larrin Hilton. Tom Hughes. Husing Yita. Lucy Hutchin. Edward Keithley. Thomas Kirkby. Grace Langham. Emma Latcham. Rebecca Latter. Jasmine Lawton. Ross MacDonald. Cameron Mackenzie Philps. Daniel McKinnon. Ian Malone. Oliver Moore. Samuel Morris. George Malloy. Richard Nolan. Jake Odger. Lauren Palmer-Jones. Lucy Parry. Rachel Phillips. Alice Pike. Emily Pocock. Connor Powell. Selena Rees. Brittany Richards. Michael Sedgwick. Claire Swift. Emilian Taboncourt. Simone Terry. Luke Thompson. Holly Walker. Amber Walsh. Jack Walters. Thomas Whitaker. Samuel Wilson. For the degree of Master of Chemistry in Chemistry, Biological and Medicinal Chemistry, Jacob Billsborough. Samuel Clow. Taylor Dixon. Alexander Edwards. Emma Henderson. Rebecca Einite. Gabriel Lipworth, Amelia Osborne, Emily Saxton, Hannah Scott, Natalia Sviontek, Camilla Torres. For the degree of Master of Chemistry in Chemistry, Biological and Medicinal Chemistry with a year abroad, Grace Ball. Laura Blair, Lauren Brixey, Susanna Harrison, Alvaro Lopez Acosta, Carlos Newburn, Edward Pike, Daniel Powell. For the degree of Master of Chemistry in Chemistry, Biological and Medicinal Chemistry with a year in Industry, Lauren Abbott. Chloe Bradshaw, Alicia Carey, John Connolly, Alexander Derry, Thomas Fleetwood, Lucy Horsnell, Alex McLaren, Daniel Morris, Catherine Roden, Zoe Sheaf. For the degree of Master of Chemistry in Chemistry, Green Principles and Sustainable Processes, Nina Green. Oliver Stevens. For the degree of Master of Chemistry in Chemistry, Green Principles and Sustainable Processes with a year in Industry, Patricia Baruga Camarero, Nicholas Garland, Barwan Haddad, Amy Stanford. For the degree of Master of Chemistry in Chemistry, Management and Industry, Charles Omble. For the degree of Master of Chemistry in Chemistry, Management and Industry with a year in Industry, Thomas Shaw. For the degree of Master of Chemistry in Chemistry, Resources and the Environment, Amy Mills. For the degree of Master of Chemistry in Chemistry, Resources and the Environment with a year abroad, Alexander Chamberlain-Clay. For the degree of Master of Chemistry in Chemistry, Resources and the Environment with a year in Industry, Ellen Harding-Smith. For the degree of Master of Chemistry in Chemistry, the Atmosphere and the Environment, Rihanna Evans. Daniel Markovich Dickinson. For the degree of Master of Chemistry in Chemistry, the Atmosphere and the Environment with a year in Industry, Amy Clayton. Jake Vallow. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Chemistry with a year in Industry, Jim Alale. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Chemistry, Thomas Bell. Charles Biddlecombe. Holly Bissett. Teresa Bordoni, Luke Brierley, Rory Buke, Janice Caldwell, Jemima Campbell, Ruhi Darwood, Rebecca Dillahoyd, Marcus Dennington, James Donnelly, Thomas Duffy, Megan Elliott, Ellie Ellis-Webber, Sean Fisackerley, Molly Garrett, Alina Gately, Irina Grabidi, Dominic Hanscombe, Claire Hayes, Molly Horn, Glyn Houghton, George Howell, Adam Hughes, Samuel Ingle, Rebecca Jones, Alistair Lavery, Beth Little, Harry Morgan, Isabel Susan Morgan, Simaran Patel, Lewis Picken, Yasmin Primrose, Stephen Robertson, Daisy Sams, Maria Sorelli, Oliver Shaughnessy, Charlotte Smith, Katie Stott, Eve Taylor, Bethany Taylor Blythe, Daniel Tilbrook, Fergus Wishart, Emily Wright, Yipeng Zhao. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Chemistry, Biological and Medicinal Chemistry, Tom Dugdale, Alyssa Mohammed Azar, Tamzin Nicholas, Daniela Sibold, Imogen Walsh. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Chemistry, Green Principles and Sustainable Processes, Cooper Addis, James Harvey, Rachel Leong. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Chemistry, the Atmosphere and the Environment, Georgina Atkinson. Lily Popple, George Pullin. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Chemistry with a year abroad, Caitlin Barber. Chancellor, I have the honour to present the following candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Laws in Law, Kieran Donnelly. For the degree of Master of Physics in Physics, Eleanor Newman. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Psychology, Avery Molo-Ayan.
It is my enormous pleasure to introduce Gulab Fatima Rani, our student orator, who will speak on behalf of the class of 2022. Our student orators have been invited to speak in recognition of their hard work on behalf of the student community and commitment to their studies. Our speakers have both pursued the most enriching experience they could during their time at York, as well as giving back to their community. On behalf of the class of 2022, I give you Gulab Fatima Rani.
Hello, and thank you very much. I would like to start my oration with a massive thank you to the graduation committee for giving me the opportunity to speak on behalf of class of 2021 in 2022. Thank you very much. On behalf of my fellow graduates, I would like to thank everyone who has been part of our educational journeys. May it be our parents, our school teachers, to our supervisors at the University of York. It feels so emotional to be here. Today, it's their support and encouragement we are here, but there are millions of students around the globe who doesn't have a proper support system to study or work, particularly females. As we all know that women's education and women empowerment is not only important for the personal growth, but also for a prosperous country. Unfortunately, there are millions of girls, particularly in the developing countries, who does not have the option to go to the school and does not have the luxury to work in the market, despite having a lot of potential. This is a very critical issue, particularly when we talk about the developing countries. And addressing that issue at every available platform is the need of the time. Being born and raised in the region where girls' education was not considered as their basic right at that time, I had to face several hardships throughout the educational journey and to fight for my basic right of education. I was lucky to have a supportive family who was always there to encourage and support me. It was their support in my family and my teachers at the same time that I was the first female in the whole region to attend a medical school and come abroad to do a PhD. This journey was very tough, with several ups and downs, but giving up on my dreams was never an option. All these efforts put together by myself, my parents, and my teachers have helped us change the perspective of women's education in the region. And I feel really proud to see a whole new generation of educated and empowered young ladies in my region. However, similar to many parts of the world, this number of educated and empowered women is quite low, particularly in the STEM fields, which is mainly due to lack of support in the institutes from their own families, from the institutes, employers, and everyone who accompany them. Sorry. Having been through hard times in my early life, I have always dreamt of doing something for the girls, for the ladies who does not have the luxury to study and work. Having the opportunity to come and live in the UK and study at the University of York, where I have seen a women representation at every stage of life, and the whole network of support system which exists within the institutes. Having that experience have helped shape a plan to support the women in their education, in their research, in their journeys, in their jobs, including their mental well-being. Being a female and having that kind of experience, I feel it as a responsibility to do something. Equal opportunities of education and job, and a safe working environment are few of my future goals. I believe if each one of us present here could play some part in supporting women's education, we would be living in a good world in the future, hopefully. I'm very hopeful that the experience I have gained and now I am at a place where I can do something. It will help me achieve my goals and goals of other ladies, other girls living in the conditions similar to me in any part of the world. And I would be happy to play any part to support these girls. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hudia Fatima, for that resounding oration on behalf of our graduating class. In a moment, I'm going to close the ceremony. We're actually going to close it with a short video. But before we do that, I've got a couple of duties, actually on your behalf, because we've got a few thanks to make. And the first thanks that I hope you'll all join with me in making is to the staff of this institution. The staff of this institution that kept the show going through those 2 really difficult years. You have been through, every one of you, some trying and difficult times, and so have they. But the way in which this university turned around so quickly and introduced online learning and supplemented that in every way has been really quite impressive across the country. So I'm going to ask you to join me in expressing our thanks to all of the staff at the University of York. Thank you. But they're not the only ones. There's another group of people, and they're in this hall, I'm not going to name them, but there's another group of people in this hall who actually have sustained every one of you. Friends, family, cousins, relations, right through life, but also through these last years at the University of York. They're here today, many of them are also viewing online, and I think it would be wonderful, not just to clap, but shout your thanks for all that you have done. Please, friends, family, cousins, relations. And then finally, it's you biologists, you chemists, of whom I am deeply envious. You have actually got the future. As those degrees were read out, we're right over to green chemistry, we're right over into resources, we're right over into taking principles of chemistry and biology out into doing good in the world. And that strikes at the central motto of the University of York. It's not just self-fulfillment, it's about social impact. So you are the second graduated class, double graduated class, the best ceremony we've had so far, and I want you, everybody, can we congratulate the graduating class today?
Student at the University of York is one of the 2 Chinese citizens who have tested positive for the coronavirus in the UK.
So this statement from Public Health England has the headline is the killer virus here had been staying in York.
Coronavirus is a student at the University of York. My camp from our newsroom
begin.
When the first case in the UK was discovered here in York, I was visiting one of our partner universities, Maastricht in the Netherlands. Being the first case, there was obviously no script for us to follow. At the same time as having the world's media looking at us, everybody was here. We brought together a contingency group, medical experts, others who could help us think through the issues that we might face, and we worked from the outset with the City Council and the other educational institutions in the city. Well, we knew very little about the virus at the time, and our overriding concern was to keep people safe and to give them the reassurance that we could, and to prepare for what followed, what became probably the most challenging year the university has ever faced.
At the time, I think emotions were kind of all over the place. There was so much uncertainty, which provided a little bit of fear for the unknown and panic about what's going to happen next. The university was brilliant in that regard. They set up a phone line for students, for parents, for staff within the first 24 hours that anyone could call for any questions and reassurance.
The key thing was listening to students and making sure that they could see leadership, and also a lot of compassion and kindness, because it was an uncertain time both for staff and for students. One of the main things the university did was introduce the Emergency Student Support Fund, one of the first universities in the UK to do so, recognising that students would lose things like part-time work and there'd be various financial challenges facing students, and that was really important to give students that financial certainty wherever they were.
We actually listened to what students and staff had to say, and with students we listened to what they had to say through their elected student representatives, being members of our contingency groups, and also by conducting pulse surveys as well, so that we captured the mood and indeed what students actually wanted, and we responded to that. We managed to get all of our teaching and learning online within a week of the pandemic starting, which I think is a remarkable achievement. We provided roughly about 6,000 welfare calls or checks on students in self-isolation throughout the pandemic. We actually provided lockdown loot for students as well, so we provided food, treats, activity packs, and even hampers at Christmas as well.
So clearly we would expect the university to step into the knowledge space and provide a greater, deeper understanding of the virus. However, the University of York went much further than that. It engaged communities, it's provided open access to equipment and facilities and space. It provided us with leadership and support, and was very much a partner in dealing with the impacts of the pandemic on the city.
What I've learnt about the University of York community in the last year is that we are incredibly resilient and resourceful, that we're compassionate, that when we say that we're a university for public good, we actually live it as well, and it's about being a community that works together. I have a number of favourite stories from students. Actually, one concerned students actually working with elderly members of the local community to ensure that they could get access to the internet. So they provided training sessions and support so that these people could actually contact their relatives.
The founders of this university talked 60 years ago of what we, our staff, our students, would do to ameliorate human life and conditions. What a sense of purpose for a university to have, and my goodness, how much it has been our compass over the last year. That's what defines the University of York.
Ladies and gentlemen, I declare this congregation for the celebration of awards to be closed, but the celebrations shall continue. Please stand for the academic procession.